Good morning. We are here in Ballard, Washington State, right? With the Sahaskis, women. And this is my old good friend, Amina. Her mother was my friend. I met Amina first when she was 5 years old. And she now has a beautiful daughter of her own.
Hi.
This is Maria. And we are going to talk about, well, you're interested in the Green New Deal.
Yeah, and the climate crisis in
And,
general.
and the climate crisis in general. So, and how old are you now?
I'm 13 years old.
And we were talking about what the world was like when you were 13.
Yeah, so my name's Amina Sahasky, and we're here in Seattle, Washington, in Ballard, the Ballard neighborhood. And, I have a wonderful family and two beautiful daughters, and Maria's my eldest daughter, and she has become very active in taking action on the climate crisis and raising awareness and taking activities in her own life, making changes in her own life, and trying to educate other young people as well as adults around the seriousness of the crisis. And Maria's 13 years old, and when I was 13 years old, the kinds of things that were on my mind were the Cold War, certainly awareness of U.S.-Russian relations and lack of relations and those challenges and worries. But close to my heart was the famine in Africa and Ethiopia in particular. And I remember at age 13 talking about that and reading and educating and researching about that and trying to get others to take political action or just action in their own lives to know more. And that's what reminds me of some of the things that Maria's
Right.
doing today.
And that's when they were advertising it on television, because I can certainly remember. And then you two came and did a concert for
Yeah.
raising money for Africa.
There was there was the Band-Aid group out of England that raised a lot of awareness for young people by buying a record, and that was kind of one of the first sort of global actions that gave people, certainly young people, an ability to go buy a record and try to donate money to a cause. And I think those were some of the pre-internet activities that young people rallied around to make a difference.
So Maria, what are the big issues of your time that?
Well, there are a lot of issues going on in the world today, but in my opinion and knowledge, I would say, the biggest issue is by far the climate crisis. It's threatening all life on Earth, locally, and of course, it'll be much worse, much more soon in poorer countries.
So you're just 13. Did you learn this in school?
We've briefly been taught about it, but I only really learned about it when I read the book called The Uninhabitable Earth, which details what's going on today a little bit, but also what'll be going on in 10, 15, etc. years when, say, the global average temperature rises 2 degrees Celsius. Things will be so much worse. Sea levels, well, like glaciers and large pieces of ice will start collapsing. Sea levels will obviously be rising. Wildfires will be devastating.
And living in Washington State, you have seen the big fires and
Yeah.
lived through all the smoke.
Specifically last summer,
last
I was
summer.
at Boys and Girls Club with friends, and we couldn't go outside for like a whole week because the air pollution was bad, and people were having like asthma and whatnot issues. And we can see that's only going to be getting worse. Just last week, there was an article in the Seattle Times that the headline was, Seattle heat waves could kill thousands this very summer. So
We walked around the neighborhood, and I noticed you had your little phone with you, and you were asking people to sign something. What was that about?
Yeah, so last Friday, I went on climate strike with the group Fridays for Future, which is led by teen activist Greta Thunberg, who probably a lot of people know of, and also the group Extinction Rebellion. So the group Fridays for Future is now also trying to in Seattle get a Green New Deal for government, which would basically be telling the government to take the immediate climate action that we desperately need to sustain future generations by hopefully dropping emissions completely by 2025.
So, what else are you doing to get bring focus on this? Are you going to city council meetings?
I haven't been at any meetings at City Council yet, but the strikes have been at Seattle City Hall. So we've been doing chants outside of Seattle City Hall just a couple weeks ago. At one of the strikes, we marched up into the mayor's office and we had a die-in where we basically lay on the floor in representation of what Seattle will look like if we don't take action now.
And how effective do you feel that was?
I mean, some people did see us, but we were ignored by pretty much everyone. There was even a lady that was in the secretary's office, I guess you would say it is. And she was just sitting there on her computer while we were chanting and essentially fighting for our lives and for her life and everything else.
So, when we post this video of people watching this, how can they go on and sign on to this Green New Deal? I know it's for Seattle, but...
Yeah. So the one for Seattle is at seattlegnd.org. So if you live here in Seattle, you can go to that website and sign it. There are probably global ones, but I don't know exactly where that is. You can probably look up Green New Deal petition and it'll come up. But also you can just be doing everything or things in your daily life, such as driving less, of course, is a good one. Taking bikes or public transport and stuff like that. Eating less meat and animal products is a good one. Like, I'm vegan, which is probably the best thing you can be doing to lower that impact, because animal agriculture makes up about 25% of global emissions. Buying less plastic, which is kind of hard to do because it's just everywhere. But plastic accounts for about 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions because it's directly part of the fossil fuel industry.
And your mother drives an electric car, I see.
My dad does,
Oh, your
but
dad.
yeah. Hopefully we can all drive electric cars sometime soon. But yeah, for now that's pretty good.
Well, we thank you for your activism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mom, you'd like to add?
No, I just think I think the taking action at whatever age you can and whatever way you can is really important. I think the voices of young people, no matter how young, the younger the better, honestly. And I think is really an important part of our political dialogue and critical to our future and our community's consciousness overall. So super proud of the efforts of my daughter and how she's transforming our family and our community and hopefully our city and the world.
I'd like to say one thing about that. Yeah, a lot of adults are noticing the children's activism, and they're very grateful for that, of course, because we have a big voice, even though we're young, which is very important, and obviously we have a bigger say in this because it is our future that will be affected. But also, that doesn't mean adults can just sit back and relax when we're fighting. They have to join the fight too. They have to do whatever they can. So I think that's an important takeaway to get from this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.